As you well know, when you're entering content onto the page here in Microsoft Word, eventually you will run out of space. But Word creates a new page for you and you can continue typing or adding your content on the next page. But what happens when the page break happens in the middle of a paragraph? All of a sudden you have part of the paragraph at the bottom of one page and the rest at the top of the next page. Well, there is a feature that allows you to keep paragraphs together, intact. There is also a feature that will make sure that you never see a widow or an orphan. Widow and orphan control is a single line from a paragraph left on its own, either at the bottom of the page or at the top of the page. So let's take a look at these options now, as we continue working with our HR document. If you've jumped to this lesson, you can get caught up with us by going to the Chapter 4 folder and opening up HR 3. We're going to go to page 7. Let's use our keyboard shortcut Ctrl-G. We learned this earlier, that we can go to a page. We'll type in 7, either click Go To or press Enter on your keyboard, and then we'll close up this dialog. Notice that we're at the top of the page here, page 7, but we're in the middle of a paragraph. And if we scroll back and take a look, paragraph begins on page 6. So in this case, it's not a widow or an orphan, a single line by itself, but it's actually a couple of lines and they've been split up. So if we want to keep them together, we could select paragraph. Let's do that. Click and drag from the beginning of place down. Next we'll go to our paragraph expansion arrow down here in the bottom right corner of the paragraph section on the ribbon. And that gets our paragraph dialog open. You'll notice by default here, widow orphan control is turned on. It has a check mark. So if there was a single line, maybe the first line of the paragraph by itself on page 6 and the rest on page 7, it would automatically move that line down to the next page. Same is true for orphans, where we have not quite enough room for the last line of a paragraph and it appears by itself at the top of the next page. I would move the entire paragraph down to the next page where it fits. We can also do that with this one here, which is keep lines together. When we click that checkbox and click OK, look what happens. The whole paragraph gets pushed down to the next page. So it's intact, it's not split up, and it looks much nicer and a little bit easier to read, of course. That's a great feature that I like. Now you would typically turn that on at the beginning of creating a document, and that way the entire document has the feature applied to it. Another option is to select the entire document if you've already created it. Use Ctrl-A on the keyboard to select all and then go back to that little arrow to open up paragraph dialog. We'll turn on widow orphan control as well as keep lines together and click OK. Now this can affect the length of your document, just keep that in mind. So if there are a lot of paragraphs getting split up, new pages might be created to accommodate pushing down extra lines of text in paragraphs where they're split up. In our case, we still have a 14-page document. We'll click anywhere in the document to deselect and save our changes. What we've just done is ensured that our paragraphs won't get split up. Either single lines, called widows and orphans, or entire paragraphs split up anywhere in the middle of the paragraph will always be kept together, thanks to keep lines together.